What's going on, guys? As we head into April, it is officially time for your monthly Fraser Valley real estate market update with a focus on Surrey, Langley and White Rock. If this is your first time to the channel, my name is Alex Dunbar with the Dunbar Real Estate Group and RE/MAX Treeline Realty based out of the Surrey Langley areas. And I make weekly videos covering the BC real estate market as well as showcasing community tours around the lower mainland. So if that's something that you want to see more of, I suggest you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you're notified whenever I put out a new video. And before we dive deeper into the stats, I just want to give you a brief overview of what's going on in the market and some of the trends that we're seeing. So there has been a significant increase in the levels of inventory. However, it does seem like we're starting to hit a bit of a plateau. We saw inventory levels peak towards the end of March around 4,400, and as we got deeper into the month and in the first couple days of April, we've seen levels plateau around the 4,200 mark. Now, it hasn't quite been long enough for us to know whether inventory will continue to increase or whether it will go back down, but it will be interesting to see how this plays out over the next couple of months. Overall, though, we did see a bit of a softening in the market. As you'll see by some of the numbers, we saw a bit of a pullback in some of the prices. However, keep in mind that February was a record month for several areas and property types. For instance, when we look at Langley detached homes, they were up by 10% looking at the average price from January to February. That's a huge number for an entire year, let alone a single month. So we were bound to see some sort of a pullback at some point in time. So it really doesn't come as that much of a surprise. But keep in mind, in order to actually see a trend, we need to see 3 consecutive months of either price increases or price decreases. So although, as you will see when I dive into the prices, that we have had a little bit of a pullback off of peak pricing, it's not necessarily indicative that prices are headed downwards. What I do expect is more of a leveling out than anything. But what I'm going to do now is share my screen so we can dive a little bit deeper into it. So here we have the monthly market stats that have been released by the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. As you can see, the title, Continued Growth in New Listings, a Hopeful Sign for Home Buyers in the Fraser Valley. So taking a look into it, what Sandra Benz, the president of the board, said is that sales were strong in March as new listings continued to come on stream. We're hopeful that this will contribute to a slowing in price growth, which is good news for home buying public. Other encouraging signs, such as less open house traffic and fewer multiple offers, may help us get to more of a balanced market. However, until fundamental issue of lack of supply is addressed, we won't see that happen anytime soon. I can attest to this, that we definitely are seeing a little bit less open house traffic, less offers on homes, and just in general, it seems to be a little bit cooler out there per se. But moving on, let's see, across the Fraser Valley in March, the average number of days for a single family home was 12, townhomes was 14, and apartments was 11. I believe these are all up slightly by a couple of days in comparison to last month. But now let's dive into each of the areas as I mentioned, but the way I want to show this to you is in a graph. So let me change my screen. So first of all, let's take a look at the Cloverdale area. We are looking at the average sale price, just for your information. And as you can see, detached homes are actually slightly down from 1.820 million to 1.751 million. Townhomes slightly down as well from 964,000 to 942,000, and apartments are actually up from 533,000 to 590,000. Keep in mind, we are using average prices, not benchmark prices. So if there were a small number of sales, these aren't the greatest representation of where prices are at. However, if we see these trends happen months in a row, that is always a greater representation. But let's move on to the next area. Moving on to Central Surrey, or the area surrounding the Fleetwood-Tynehead area, not North Surrey, where City Central is. Just for information, we saw again a decrease in detached home prices from 1.990 million to 1.931 million. Townhomes are slightly down from 982,000 to 948,000, and apartments were slightly up from 553,000 to 594,000. Moving on to North Surrey. Now this is the Whalley area, or city center as they are calling it now, but detached house prices were actually up from 1.881 million to 1.921 million. Townhome prices were down a decent amount from 929,000 to 859,000. And we also had condo prices relatively the same, but a little bit down from 560,000 to 551,000. And lastly, for Surrey, we have the South Surrey and White Rock areas, which are combined for the purposes of these stats. However, they are different in reality, but this can have some problems when we're looking at the stats, but we won't get into that right now. Just keep in mind, White Rock does have some higher end luxury properties that can help to pull these numbers up at times. However, it doesn't look like it did so this month. So detached homes were down from 2.402 million to just under 2.2 million at 2.174 million. Townhomes were up from 1.090 million to 1.141 million, and condos were slightly down from 826,000 to 749,000. So actually a decent little drop there. And then lastly, let's move on to Langley. So detached homes actually saw the largest decrease in prices, but as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, they were up 10% in a single month. So we expected this to happen. They're down from 1.965 million to 1.743 million. Townhomes were slightly down as well, from over a million, 1,009,000, down to 976,000. In my previous videos, I did mention I think this was going to be a tough number for them to break and continue upwards. And then we also had apartments that were relatively flat at 640,000 down to 632,000. Another thing I want to point out here is that I said I believe that the $2 million mark for detached houses in Langley was going to be another tough one to break. Clearly, I think we're starting to see that. However, again, keep in mind that we have to see 3 consecutive months for these to actually become a trend. At this point in time, it is just a minor pullback. We may see prices go back up next month. We may see them flatline. Again, my prediction is they're probably going to flatline, but we will have to see. One last thing I do want to show you here, though, is the benchmark prices for the Fraser Valley. Now, I'm not going to show you each and every area, but just the general trend. So as you can see, the prices are actually up from last month. For detached, up 3.4%, townhomes are up 5.4%, and apartments are up 4.6%. Now, benchmark prices, I have a video that goes into a little more detail about the differences between average, median, and benchmark, which you can find right up here. But essentially, benchmark prices are believed to give a better representation of the overall trend at a more macro level, whereas average prices at a more micro level in specific property types and locations can sometimes highlight other things that we're looking for. And that's the reason I wanted to show you this, just so that you could see that prices aren't falling off the side of a cliff or anything else. Again, benchmark prices take more of a holistic view, taking into account more features than just the average price. So just wanted to showcase that. So there you have it. There is the data from the specific areas within Surrey and Langley. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a better idea of what's going on in the market right now. But if you are interested in learning a little bit more about a specific neighborhood or areas outside of the city of Surrey and Langley, I'll put a link in the description down below, which will cover other cities in the Fraser Valley, including places like Abbotsford, Delta, and Mission. And if you're interested in learning more about a specific neighborhood, let's say Willoughby or Clayton, I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. Just reach out or leave a comment down below, and I'll be happy to help. And again, just to summarize, what I'm seeing out there at a higher macro level is that detached and townhomes seem to be slowing down a little bit, again, dependent on area. However, condos seem to be chugging along at this point in time. And I think a big part of that is just because of the price point. Obviously, they're far more affordable than anything else. And as you saw with a couple of the areas with the average townhome price getting over $1 million, this is making it extremely difficult, even for those who already own condos trying to upsize. But my tip for you right now is if you are looking to upsize or get into your first townhome, we are seeing this market slow a little bit more than some of the others. So if you do live in a condo, you're looking to sell it, now could be a great time to get out and upsize. or if you're just looking to purchase your first home and you have the financial ability to get into a townhome, now is a fantastic time to be looking at doing that. And if you'd like to further discuss your options and how this could work for you, you can scroll down and hit the first link in the description to book a call with me at your earliest convenience. And if you did get any value from this video, I'll ask that you do one thing for me, and that's to hit that like button to show your support. Lastly, if you are interested in seeing more videos just like this one, as well as other relevant real estate topics in BC and community tours across the Lower Mainland, I suggest you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you're notified whenever I put out a new video. Once again, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.